the heart of Dixie where the eagles fly, land of the brave where the bullets don't lie. We fought for our freedom with guns by our side. Red, white, and blue, our southern pride. Raise the flag high, let freedom ring from the rolling mountains to the flatlands. We sing, no one can take our rights. Our Second Amendment will defend our land with every bullet we send. We were born in the USA, land of the free, with guns in our hands. We'll forever be Southern blood runs deep through our veins. We'll stand tall for America till the end of our days.
Well, hey there. I'm Sully, and as always, welcome to the Gun Club. I had not planned on streaming tonight. I'd done a good stream last night, talked a lot about some of the political stuff up in New York, some of the future in New York City, and then some stuff came across my desk around noon today, and quite frankly, I jumped on it because it was a kind of a big deal of sorts, so to speak. It was one of these things that sort of blindsided me because I knew there was something in the works. I didn't know what had happened yet. And we had a verdict come out in a court case. Now, I follow a lot of legal cases, but this one took on sort of a special little bit of significance, I guess you'd say. This was the civil trial, or one of many, that is stemming from the incident that occurred at Richneck Elementary School back on January 6th of 2023. If you're not familiar with that, we'll talk about the incident a little bit. I've done a couple of shows on this. I've talked about the incident originally, and then a lot of other information came out. I did a follow-up on it as part of a live stream back in February of 2023. And here we sit on the corner, about 2.5 years later, and the one of many civil verdicts has come out. This was the one where the first grade teacher was wounded in her classroom by a 6-year-old who arrived at school with Mama's little Taurus. Yeah, I said that. A 6-year-old in a first grade classroom with Mama's little Taurus G2A. And it was definitely an interesting one. And the more I heard about it, the more, well, I don't want to say irate or animated or what the astounded, maybe would be the word. I don't know. This was a bad situation. And, this was in the midst of a bunch of people talking about, oh, we need better gun control laws. We need better gun protection. We need to change this. We need to go out and screw with everybody's right because guns, bad guns, kids shooting guns, bad. But this incident, it popped on the news. Oh my God, a teacher shot in a school, how awful. And then when the rest of the story started coming out, the media buried this like a cat trying to hide a turd in a litter box, because this was the biggest condemnation of school systems and school administrators and the whole school thing as a whole. And it showed just complete stupidity on the part of the school administration. And, well, I don't want to belabor the point. And I actually went back and I've pulled up my old video from February of 2023. And I'm just going to go ahead and replay what was one of my personally favorite epic rants when I did this originally. Because when I covered this before, it was like, wow, it just was amazing. Well, maybe parental control, yes, but that's a part of it. But wait till we hear the role that the school played in this incident that resulted in a first grade teacher, Miss Abby Zwerner, being shot in her classroom. I'm going to run this over just again. I think I covered it pretty damn well. And this was my second report on it. I did link the this video in the Rumble chat. I can also link it over in the YouTube description as well later on. This was one of those things that, yeah, you can see my face there. And this, again, was one of my favorite rants I ever did. So I figured rather than try to recreate this one, we just go back to the original rant and see how well I did. Alrighty. So, Sully, what do you think? Now we're getting ready for some good rants. Richneck Elementary School, Norfolk, Virginia. Or Newport News, excuse me. Sorry, Norfolk. I owe you for that one. As you recall, there was a shooting there on January 6th. This was the one where we had the 6-year-old child bring the gun to class. And that afternoon, around 1:30, he took the gun out of his backpack while his teacher was doing reading with them, pointed the gun at the teacher. The teacher put her hand up. The teacher got shot through her hand into her chest. Hats off again to Miss Abby, the teacher, who managed to evacuate her class even after being hit with bullets. Got to give her credit for that. Well, turns out there's a little bit of a history here. Things have gotten kind of interesting on that case, and that's definitely been a rabbit hole to go down. Oh, Mel, wait till you hear some of this from the lawsuit. Yeah. Yeah. The child who was sick shot his teacher has a little bit of a history. He had been suspended earlier in that week for 1 day. Matter of fact, had been suspended the day before for the day prior to that, taking his teacher's cell phone off the desk and smashing it. Because that's what is usually acceptable behavior, that kind of a 1 day suspension. This was also the first week he was allowed in the school without a parent present with him. Now, this children, again, a little bit of history. We go back to 2021. He went apparently at a teacher from behind, grabbed her around the neck, and choked her until the point she felt like she was going to pass out. And has also previously been documented having whipped other students with his belt using it as a weapon. Why is this kid still in school? Somebody, please share with me some great wisdom from above. Why is this kid in school? I understand he needs to get an education. I understand the system needs to do something for him. But this kid with this track record is in everyone else's first grade class. What do you think the other kids are going through in there? We're so damn anxious as a society to worry and make sure we do right by this kid. You figure how many other kids in that room are terrified of this kid? How many have been whipped with his belt? You know, I'll be honest with you, it's probably a damn good thing that I'm not in that area. I don't have a kid in that class, because if my kid came home and said, you know, little Johnny is whipping me with a belt, I'd be down there at the principal's office. And I'll also say that if my spouse was there as a teacher and came home and said I was choked into almost unconsciousness, I'd be questioning A, whether or not they'd go back to work at that school, or B, I'd look at the principal and I'd say, what are you doing about it? I want answers. Why should any teacher put up with this? And please understand, when I'm going through this, I have the utmost respect for the good teachers out there. And I think that is the vast majority of good teachers out there. The fact this kid's still in school is not 1 second a failure of the teachers. Like I said earlier, hats off to the lady who was shot, Miss Abby. Hats off to this other teacher who's putting up with this crap. I have all the faith and all the respect in the world for them. But you know what? Their damn administration, from the principal on up to the superintendent, leaving this little terror in a class full of first graders, it's a matter of how long are we going to let it go until something really bad happens and we make the national news. Well, he brought a 9mm to school and shot his teacher. Is that bad enough? Are you happy? I mean, the administration here failed epically. Again, you can tell this is a little bit of a rant here. And I will say that I kind of looked about as pale as a ghost in this damn stream. But, I look a little bit healthier today. That's a good thing, I guess. But yeah. And I love the commentary here. Mel says, yeah, her sister's a TA and deals with all this. And she hears about all this craziness. Yeah. And, why keep the kid in school? I agree, Mary. He needs help first. He's not there learning. He is there victimizing other kids, whipping them with a belt. Honestly, if my kid came home with whip marks from a belt, that principal and I would have a sit down, and it probably would not be a good thing because it would either be that or my attorney would be serving them with paperwork. Well, we see how this goes. Yeah. Yeah. Choking and beating kids, remember, this teacher, or not this teacher, I believe it's a different teacher, was previously sitting in a chair when grabbed from behind. The kid locked his forearm across her neck, yanking her backwards to the point of almost unconsciousness. Would you go back? Would you? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'd tell the teacher that you had that kid. I'd tell the principal, that kid's in my room tomorrow. I'm walking out the damn door. To hell with you. But yeah, enough. We'll get the original rant here, and then we'll have the secondary, because there's going to be a rant tonight. I have a feeling. I'm going to laugh, though. Epically. And we're going to go a little further because it gets better. Yeah, it does. God. This is where, the more I read about this, the more, again, I don't believe it. And like I said, teachers, I'm not faulting these teachers for a minute. They're working in a damn war zone and they've got no backup from their administration, who's too much of a bunch of damn cowards to do their damn job. Principals, vice principals, whatever, administrators, superintendents, deputy superintendents, do some serious soul searching. Are you letting your schools turn into this kind of shit show? Because if you are, your teachers are trapped in the middle and they're helpless and they're getting beaten up, choked, and shot and stabbed with pencils. Yes, this kid has done more. And apparently, after all this has come out now, everyone's wondering, well, how could the school get that bad? And all the teachers are coming out saying this is normal. This is the behavior we're subjected to every day. Administration is too damn scared of the parents. School boards, administrators, get your heads out of your asses. Let's keep going. Now, the fun part, the teacher who was shot, Miss Abby, has now filed a lawsuit alleging gross negligence on the part of the school district. I hope the hell she takes them hard. I hope she personally named the principal, the vice principal, and every single person in this decision chain, because she and other teachers had gone to school administrators multiple times that day that the student had a gun. She told them. We've now found out at least 3 to 4 times the vice principal, we'll get to her name later, was informed that the student had a gun. He had actually threatened other students with physical violence first thing that morning. She went to the administration. She followed her chain of command. She did her job. And what happens? Oh, don't worry about it. He's just having a bad day. And she's like, he's violent first thing in the morning. This isn't going to be a good day. Finally, they go ahead and someone searched the book bag. They searched his book bag, but nothing else. When they asked about searching his pockets, they said, oh, don't worry, he's got small pockets, apparently big enough to hold a 9. When they said, should we search this? Should we do that? Should we search his jacket? Oh, don't worry, the day's almost over. His mother will be here to pick him up in a little while. This is what Dr. Ebony Parker, and I hope you see this, Ebony, this is what her response or his response or their response, I don't damn well know, was to their teachers. He's got small pockets. His mother will be here in a little while to pick him up. Who's crazy? Ebony, you failed epically. Not only did you get someone in your chain of command, your teacher who works for you in that facility, you got her shot because you're an idiot. Be damn glad you didn't get one other first grader shot. You know what? We could easily be talking about this just slightly differently. Apparently, he had pulled out the gun and showed the gun to another first grader out on recess. And that first grader told a teacher, and that teacher went to administration. But we heard about small pockets, and don't worry, mom will be there to pick him up. That was one of the times that one of the teachers went. 4 times. They went to the assistant principal about a first grader with a gun. It had been seen by other students. It had been rumored. And what did Ebony Parker do? Nothing. Said, Mom will be here in a little while to pick him up. He's got small pockets. Don't worry about it. Who's freaking crazy? And you know what? I know that the superintendent has since been either let go or fired. I know the principal and the vice principal, Ebony or whatever their name is, has been let go or fired or quit or whatever. I know that. I hope to hell they never work anywhere near education again. Because if that is your idea of keeping a school safe, might I suggest what? McDonald's, the Waffle House? You have no business whatsoever being responsible for lives of your staff or that of young children if you take that much of a bullshit attitude towards reports of a gun in school. Actually, I have to say, I really don't want her at McDonald's. Chances are she'd be the one who fucks up my order at the drive-thru. Just saying. We can sit here all day and talk about tragic school shootings and isn't this awful and isn't that awful. But if school administration doesn't do anything about it and won't let the teachers do anything about it, then guess what? We're going to have more of them. Ebony, you failed. You epically failed. And I hope, I don't know, I haven't read the whole lawsuit, but I hope this teacher who was shot, I hope they not only are suing the school district, I hope they sue the school district for deep pockets, but I hope they sue Ebony personally for their failures and the pain and suffering she's going through. Because that young lady who walked into that classroom to teach your students after telling you multiple times about a gun, and she went back and had the stones to do her job and go back and had the stones to go through and educate students, you didn't back her up. You failed, Ebony. You failed. And honestly, I want your name out there. I'm actually thinking about doing a whole video on this about the epic failures of school administration. Because the more I read about this, the crazier it is. Teachers coming out saying it's normal to be stabbed with pencils. It's normal to have students whipping each other with belts. Reports of a first grader with a gun in his pocket threatening people. Oh, we don't do anything about it. Ebony, you know what? Maybe you're a brilliant person. Maybe you're a good-hearted, wonderful, caring person, and you just didn't want to be mean to this poor boy. Damn, be glad that you're not like an accidental accessory to murder because he shot another kid in the face on the playground. When your teacher is texting a friend of hers about, I've got a kid in the class with a gun and administration won't do a damn thing, you're a failure as an administrator. You really are. Might I consider something more like, I don't know, I think they've got some sanitation jobs coming up. I don't know if you could handle that. There's a little bit of responsibility there. What an epic failure. And from what everyone says, the school district is out of control, and this is normal there. So it's not just one failure, Ebony. It's a set of failures. You let it get to this point. You got someone shot. Good job, Sunshine. Now, the poor teacher at Miss Abby's winter, she spent 2 weeks in the hospital and still has a bullet lodged in her shoulder. The child involved has been receiving treatment, quote unquote, in a medical facility. He wasn't injured at all, but I'm sure it's psych-emotional treatment. There have been no charges filed against the child at all, and I don't expect there to be charges to be filed against a 6-year-old. But how about charges against the parents? Because let's get back here. How did a 6-year-old come up with a gun? Do we need? Alrighty, here's where we get a little bit of our case update. Um, yes, charges were filed against the parent. Miss Deja, Deja, Nicole, let's see here. I want to make sure I get her name right. Deja Nicole Taylor. She was charged with criminal possession of a weapon, making false statements, and also child neglect, and has been sentenced to 3.75 years as a guest of the Virginia Department of Corrections. So, yeah, she was the one who, if you remember the story, she swore that the gun was always locked up and it was up on a box in the top of her closet and under lock and key, and doesn't know how he could ever possibly have gotten it. And I said back then it was complete bullshit because if it was stored anywhere halfway as secure as Deja Taylor thought it should be secured, or as she described, the kid wouldn't have shot it. It's one thing for Miss Deja to come out and say, "Oh, well, I always kept it secure. This." If we don't have a bullet coming out of her gun going into the teacher. It's another thing when you get called in and your gun was just used in a school shooting by your 6-year-old, and you sit there and you say, "Oh no, it's always locked up and it's always secure." Really? Really? Yeah, Mary, you called it, and I'm gonna go with Mary. I think she said it quite well here. Mom, yeah, as a Christmas turkey. As a freaking Christmas turkey. I mean, yeah, Mama ended up catching time, and, it was actually kind of interesting. Mother of the 6-year-old was convicted of criminal possession of a weapon, false statements, and child neglect in relation to the shooting, sentenced to 3.75 years. She's publicly stated that she takes responsibility for the shooting. Now, I'm willing to say when she took responsibility for the shooting, I'm pretty much sure that that little sentence on there was probably like during her sentencing when she was trying to get on the judge's good side because the judge was trying to decide. He could have given her, I think, up to about 8 years total. He ended up giving her 3.75, and so yeah. But yeah, Your Honor, I take responsibility for everything. She's been found guilty. Now we're at sentencing. They get the pre-sentence report, and she takes responsibility for her actions. Because if she had been a responsible adult with a loaded firearm, we would have Miss Abby wouldn't have been shot. But this again came out, and when it first came out, it was, "Oh, another school shooting. We need better laws." It turns out they went to administration 4 times, and administration, Dr. Ebony Parker, did nothing about it. Not a damn blasted thing. And again, reports about the students' previous conduct included behavioral issues at school, cursing at staff, trying to whip students with a belt, choking a teacher. In 2021, the student allegedly came from behind his teacher, locked his forearm around her neck, pulled her backwards. He was subsequently moved to a different school. Yeah, I'd move him out of school. You whipping other students. You got 20, 30 kids in that class. Why are they putting up with this? Why are we letting this 1% or this 5% wag the other 95%? So, yeah, I'll get back to my rant here. But, yeah, so charges were filed, and Mama was found guilty. And Mama is at the Virginia DOC. Gun law? Well, actually, Virginia does have a gun law as far as leaving firearms open and accessible to children under 14. Let's see where we go here. Firearm under 14. He's 6. Now, Mom and Dad did release a statement about 2 weeks after the incident happened from their attorney. They haven't been charged with anything yet, but they've already got an attorney talking about how they support responsible firearm ownership. And the gun was up on the top shelf of a closet, and it was locked up with a trigger lock. And they have no idea how this could have happened. You get that? No idea how this could have happened. No idea. Well, either A, Mom and Dad are lying by way of their attorney 2 weeks after the incident. You know what? I couldn't imagine if one of my kids actually brought a gun or one of my guns to school and shot the teacher. I sure as hell wouldn't take 2 weeks to come out and say, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, what the hell do I do?" But, I guess wait 2 weeks because you know what? It's not your fault, it's not your kid's fault. I bet it's the school's fault. We'll blame school. Why don't we blame someone else? I'm sure that's why your little darling shot his teacher, because everything's everyone else's fault. They actually claimed the firearm was on top shelf of the closet and had a trigger lock in place. Can't explain how they overcame it. Then they said that their child also has some quote unquote acute emotional issues. Yeah, I'm sure he has some acute emotional issues. And I'm sure that's why the parents had to go to school with him up until just the week this happened. If you have a child that you know has emotional issues to the point that you are having to attend school with him, I think keeping the firearm locked, well, they claim it was. If Did anyone believe that? Tell you what, hit me up in the comment section below. Let me know how you think a 6-year-old with emotional issues was able to get the gun off the top shelf of the closet and defeat the trigger lock. I want to hear this one because maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm totally blind. I don't have any 6-year-olds running around. And that goes again for this one. Drop it in the comment section or throw it in the chat. Let me know how the 6-year-old was able to unlock a trigger lock up on the top shelf of the closet. I mean, did Mama leave the key in the trigger lock and the step stool? Let me know. There's got to be something here. And again, he has emotional issues, so I guess one more little booger being told that we can't tell the child no. Little Johnny wanted, or little whatever wanted to play with the gun. Then again, I don't leave like guns all over the house, but I want to find out, how did this happen? Someone give me some clues on this one. Or the parents just lying because they realize they're about to get charged. And I'm sure the parents could well be relatively judgment proof in the big scope of things. So we're gonna just let Miss Warner walk around with a piece of a round in her chest for a while. The parents failed. I get that. I'm sure there's enough of that to go around. But that day, Ebony, you failed. You failed big time. Epic fail. Now, enough of that. Alrighty, so that was my rant then. And it's like I said, I called Ebony out. Um, to me, there was absolutely no excuse for this to get to where it got to. Um, yeah, it's okay. How many failures happened? If we start at the beginning, well, his emotional issues, apparently the kid's been out of control. So, he's still in the school. So that's a failure on the part of the district. With his track record, and 2 days prior, he had taken the teacher's phone and smashed it. Although mom denies that. Mom's got a better story. But, okay, so there's a failure on the part of the district. He's still in the building. Failure on the part of mommy to secure her Taurus G2A, her pistola. Then we have 4 more failures that day on Dr. Ebony Parker, who was the assistant principal that not only Abby went to, but other teachers. Other teachers who said, kids are coming to me saying he was showing it on the playground and threatening to shoot them if they told anybody. And these kids were all scared to death. And you're the boss, go do something. Oh, it's okay. He's got small pockets. Mom will be here in a little while. I want to know, what did mom have on the teacher or on the administrator that the administrator didn't have the balls to go do anything about it? Because something had to be here. So, yeah, it gets worse. Again, they're sitting there about 2 o'clock, reading lesson, and the kid whips this out of his book bag and aims it at the teacher. Congratulations, you are now a first grade teacher in a room full of like 6-year-olds. And this is a toy I'm pulling up, but you now are getting, this business. It looks kind of big when it's pointed at you, doesn't it? Yeah, Miss Abby got to look down the barrel of that. Had the presence of mind to put her hand up to protect herself. He fires threw her hand into her chest, and what does she do? She evacuates the rest of the students from the classroom. Honestly, more presence of mind than most teachers I would think would have. Honestly, gets the other kids out of the line of fire. Another teacher ends up grabbing, Junior and holding him until law enforcement gets there. So the teachers are having to fend for themselves in a combat zone while what happened? Yeah. And again, I love Mary. Yeah, that was that day we had those failures. How many times in the past with kids whipping people with a belt? I read that and I'm like, that's not just like playground violence. That's assault. You know. And I like this when Mel came up with an idea of how we possibly got um that the pet unicorn helps them, of course. You know what? I bet that the pet unicorn's horn magically defeated the gun lock. This now, see, I didn't think of that. I'm sorry. Uh, uh, the pet unicorn Sparkle. We'll name the unicorn Sparkle for this one, folks. Yeah, and now I read back a little of the background. The shooting was the first school shooting of 2023, but the third incident of gun violence in the Newport News School District in the past 17 months. The others were involving teenagers, older kids, not their 6-year-olds, but 3 issues of gun violence in the same damn district in 17 months. I'm looking now above idiot Dr. Ebony What's Her Nuts and going up to Superintendent Dum Dum up on the top of the chain. I don't remember the superintendent's name, but we're just going to call him, Dumbo the Elephant Boy because, wow. So you've got all this going on in Newport News. Are your kids learning anything? Or are your kids scared to death? Yeah. Yeah. I wonder why performance is down in some of these schools. This elementary school has 550 students. The school is equipped with metal detectors at the time of the shooting, but they were only randomly used at times to screen students. How about screening the one that you've been told by 4 people? Yeah. Reports about the student's previous conduct. Before the shooting, multiple staff members, including Zwerner, told school administrators about the student's conduct and concerns that he may have a weapon. She alerted school officials between 11:15 and 11:30 that morning, stating that the student had threatened to beat up another student. A second teacher went to an administrator at 12:30, saying the teacher had taken it on herself to search the backpack. A third teacher told administrators shortly before 1 that the child had shown another student at recess the gun and threatened that he would shoot them if they reported it. Reportedly, the teacher was told to wait out the situation as the school day was almost over. At 1 o'clock, the day's almost over. Yeah, let's hope nothing happens. I have an idea. Why don't we all sit here, cross our fingers? Yeah. I was in an elementary school, and I can honestly say that my assistant principals, my principals in elementary school, junior high, or middle school, or whatever you want to call it, even high school, every single one of them would have had more balls than this stupid bimbo Ebony Parker would have had. Yeah, I promise you, it would have been addressed. So, yeah. Immediately after being shot, Zorner escorted all of her students out of the classroom away from the shooter, while Amy Kovac, a reading specialist at the school, restrained the shooter and called 911, holding the shooter until police took him into juvenile detention. Zorner later told reporters that she remembers the student pointing the gun at her, the look on his face, and the gun going off. She had registered the room was no longer safe for her students and escorted them out. She recounts that she remembers getting to the office and struggling to breathe before passing out. Miss Abby had a bigger set of balls than the assistant principal. Miss Abby did what she needed to do to keep the students safe. Damn shame Ebony couldn't do that. I'm not trying to be an ass, but how do we think Ebony got hired? Dr. Ebony Parker. She had the brains enough to get doctor in front of her name. I mean, is this one of these educated to the point of her own stupidity, maybe? Let's see here. Talking to a bank president. There's a guy with a gun in the lobby. President, oh, just wait it out. It's almost closing time. Yeah. And I could almost see the bank president not wanting to address an adult with a firearm in the lobby, saying, look, let me call somebody. And again, Ebony, if you want to hide under your desk, honey, pick up your fucking phone. Get on the phone to like the big blue line boys. But then again, I guess that was back in the days when we didn't want the blue line boys around the school. We'd rather let our teachers get shot. Yeah, because far be it for your poor little 6-year-olds to have to deal with a bunch of donut munchers. Yeah. So instead, your teacher gets hauled off by the trauma llamas? Really? Good job, Ebony. Good job. Yeah, you're an epic failure, Ebony. I don't know where you are now, but boy, I hope you're not anywhere dealing with any kids with any responsibility of any kind. Not even do I want fries with that, because maybe I do. And if you forget to ask, then, screw up my lunch. Not very nice. Not very nice at all, Ebony. Yeah. Struggling to breathe before passing out. Teacher gets shot in the chest on your watch. Yeah. So in the aftermath, the school remained closed for a week. All this stuff. Well, on January 25th, Warner's attorney, Diane Toscano, 25th of this year, stated they intend to file a lawsuit regarding multiple failures by administration to respond to concerns. Warner subsequently started litigation against Newport News School Board and 3 former district officials, seeking $40 million in damages. Mary, I saw 10 earlier. She went for 40. In April of 2023, lawyers for the school district filed a motion to dismiss the claim against them, which included claims that her injuries fell under the Workers' Comp Act, which allowed her to receive benefits, but that she had not taken those in favor of a lawsuit. Oh, don't sue us. It should be just a workers' comp injury. There was no gross negligence here. Yeah, this gets even better. A spokesperson for Newport News said that Zwerner had resigned her position in March. I would have resigned the next damn day, but okay. And as a result, her contract had expired on June 12th, and she was no longer employed by the district. They additionally alleged that, and I quote, being shot by a student was an expected risk of elementary school teachers in their motion for dismissal. The school board, or the lawyers for the school board, stated, and I quote, being shot by a student is an expected risk of an elementary school teacher. Yeah. Maybe in Newport News because your administration's a bunch of cucked idiots. I mean, folks, yeah, I told you this would be right tonight. I don't have words. I don't have words. And yes, I'm trying to slow down. I really am. I promise you. I'll read it again. A spokesman for the Newport News School District said she had resigned her position. They additionally alleged that being shot by a student was an expected risk of elementary school teachers. Yeah, Mary, good call. I'll go with that one. Now I'm going to say this, let's buy into their stupid for a minute. If this is, expected risk, are their teachers issued like vests, like, little Kevlar armor plates? If it's an expected risk, then I'm going to come out with my OSHA that they should protect them from expected risks, all foreseeable risks, and therefore all classroom staff should be provided with vests. Are they? Kevlar helmets? Sidearms? I mean, look, I work in a high risk environment. I understand. I go out and I do this crazy shit all the time playing with 911. Yeah, we've got people who wear vests because of what we do. Um, First grade teachers should be issued vests. If it's an expected risk, I'm just quoting OSHA. OSHA General Duty Statute. Yeah. Their motion for dismissal was unsuccessful. No shit. By April of 2025, Newport News School Board and 2 of the 3 former school officials had been removed from the lawsuit, leaving only Dr. Ebony Parker as a defendant in the trial. And the civil suit began on October 28th of 2025. Yeah, October 28th of 2025. She began suing good old Dr. Ebony. And you know what? Now you know why. You know, we've got today. Because this case finally made it through. Let's see, what's she have to say? Get the parents in line and punch her one by one. I'll lead the march. Yes, that would be good. And again, I know there's going to be 3 letters that'll probably pop up in the chat before too long. How someone as dumb as Ebony got a doctorate, and how someone as idiotic as Ebony was put in charge of a school. Come on, folks, think about it. You know where I'm going. And I don't want to go there, but you're going to make me. You're going to make me. Yeah. And again, here we have today. Former teacher shot by 6-year-old wins $10 million jury verdict against the ex-ass principal. Ooh, sorry, Ebony. This is gonna, sting. A jury in Virginia on Thursday awarded $10 million. Again, this came out right around noon today, and I just had to cover it. Awarded $10 million to a former teacher who was shot by a 6-year-old student and later accused an ex-administrator in a lawsuit of ignoring repeated warnings that the child had a gun. The jury returned its decision against Ebony Parker, a former assistant principal at Richneck Elementary. Abby Zwerner was shot January of 2023. We've talked about that at Reading Table. She sought $40 million against Ebony in the lawsuit. Zwerner spent 2 weeks in the hospital, required 6 surgeries, and still does not have full use of her left hand. A bullet narrowly missed her heart, and parts of it remain in her chest. Parker was the only defendant in the lawsuit. Judge previously dismissed the district superintendent and the school principal. The shooting sent shockwaves through the military, shipbuilding community, and the country at large, many wondering how a child so young could gain access to a gun and shoot his teacher. Well, mommy and daddy failed. How's that? Administrators failed. The lawsuit said Parker had a duty to protect Zwerner. Remember in that rant something about someone of your people under your command in your building? Yeah. Sorry, Ebony. With that whole big assistant principal title comes that R word. Yeah, the big R word. Not the one I shouldn't use on here, but the big R word is called responsibility. You had responsibility. You had a duty to act to protect your staff and your students, and you breached your duty. That's negligence, sweetheart. Duty to protect. After being told about the guns, Zwerner's attorneys Parker failed to act in the hours before the shooting. After several school staff members told her to gun in the backpack, who would think a 6-year-old would bring a gun to school? Well, it's Dr. Parker's job to believe it's possible. It's her job to investigate it and get to the bottom of it. She did not testify in the lawsuit. Her attorney, Daniel Hogan, I'm sure he had to take this gig, but yeah, warned jurors about hindsight and Monday morning quarterbacking. You should be able to judge for yourself whether or not this was foreseeable. That's the heart of this case. If she was told once about a yellow and orange blue toy Nerf something or other, maybe not take it that seriously. But 3 hours after you've received multiple reports, you kind of got to start to take it maybe a little seriously. The law knows that fundamentally it's unfair to judge another person's decision based on stuff that came up after the fact, like the hole in the teacher. The law requires you to examine people's decisions at the time they make them. Shooting occurred the first day the student had returned from a suspension for slamming Zorner's phone 2 days earlier. Zorner testified she first heard about the gun prior to recess from a reading specialist who had been tipped off by students. The shooting occurred a few hours later. Despite her injuries, Zorner was able to hustle her students out of the classroom. She eventually passed out in the school office after being shot in the chest. Yeah. Zorner testified she believed that she had died that day. I thought I was either on my way to heaven or in heaven, but then it all got black, and so I thought I wasn't going there. And my next memory is I see 2 co-workers around me, and I process that I'm hurt, and they're putting on pressure where it hurt. Zorner no longer works for the school district, has no plans to ever teach again. She's since become a licensed cosmetologist. Parker faces a separate criminal trial this month. Yes, Ebony's getting to go to criminal trial too. This is the $10 million civil she got. Now let's see her criminal trial. She's facing 8 counts of felony child neglect. Each of the counts punishable by up to 5 years in prison in the event of a conviction. The student's mother was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, as I talked about, felony child neglect, felony weapon charges. Her son told authorities he got his mother's handgun by climbing onto a drawer to reach the top of a dresser where the firearm was in his mom's purse. Ooh. Does that mean Sparkle the Unicorn doesn't exist? Ooh, come on. I thought this story was going to have a happy ending. Yeah. Yeah. It was on the dresser in mom's purse. Whoopsie. The kid told on mom. Nice job. But yeah. She slept a lot, but she wasn't her people. You know, I'm going to try to be really nice for half a second here, but I've got to say it. And folks, I'm sorry if this offends you. DEI hire much? DEI doctorate? When we lower standards, things happen, things go bad. I can't say Ebony is a DEI hire. I don't know. I'm guessing since she has actually been charged now with multiple felony counts that she's probably not teaching anymore. I don't know where she is. I'd love to actually find out where she is. Possibly, dealing with other issues. I'm sure she's got a big legal battle out of this whole thing. But yeah. So we deal with all this, and it's sad. It really is. I feel bad for the teacher. I feel bad for the, Right, exactly. Apparently, Sparkle the Unicorn just got poofed out of our story. If you miss, I'd rather it be Sparkle the Unicorn. Couldn't we have like a happy ending to this story? Maybe a little fantasy. Yeah. Sparkle the Unicorn used his magical horn to unlock the 9mm Taurus. Poor Sparkle. Yeah. Folks, I covered this a couple times, and it just blew my mind. And I will say one thing, and this is the one good side of this I can really, really come to. And I know you're going to hate me for this one, or someone might. Abby's Werner, the person, the adult who did the best for all the kids in that room, who not only dealt with the issue, but when wounded, evac'd her kids, and then went to the office and collapsed with a bullet in her chest. Abby's Werner is the one who's not in the classroom anymore. The teacher who did the most possible to protect the kids, she's the one who's gone. She's gotten out of teaching, and I don't blame her at all. I mean, come on. I don't know if I'd want to go back to it. But on the other side of that coin, we have, this mess going on. And, trying to see here if I can find anything on it. No. Apparently, Ebony just resigned prior to the school reopening. No notes at all about where she is now or what she's doing. Imagine that, she resigned. Yeah. I mean, I thought we could add something here. I thought we could add something really interesting, but apparently not. So, Sparkle the Unicorn did not unlock the gun. Mama probably didn't have the gun locked. It was just sitting around in her purse. And the kid reached up on top of the dresser, grabbed Mama's gun, threw it in his backpack, brought it to school. 4 times administration was made aware of it and did nothing. I don't see why we're worried about making more firearms laws when we have stuff like this. Streams like this, the one thing I do love is the fact that now I figure I don't know if Abby's going to get any of this $10 million. I mean, let's face it, I don't think Ebony is probably doing much right now. I mean, for all we know, she started an OF page or she's out working the shipyard when the fleet comes in. But she might be able to handle that a little bit better. Maybe that's how she became a doctorate. I don't know. I will say this. It's nice that someone was held accountable. It's nice that Mama was held accountable. I mean, I feel sorry for the kid growing up without Mama, but Mama done this to her damn self, and she wasn't doing much of a motherhood while the kid was there. If she was being a responsible adult, probably wouldn't have had a loaded gun laying around. Next one is, how does Mama's gun disappear and her not know? Yeah, you would think, if Mama picked up her purse and it just seemed a little bit too light. I don't know. Maybe there were too many battery-operated boyfriends in the purse or something from work. Yeah. Ebony could well be flipping burgers and dropping fries. Actually, you never know. We may actually have heard from Ebony this week. She's out on the street corner bitching because her EBT got cut off. Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me. If you find out what happened to Ebony, throw that down in the comments too. I'd love to know. Folks, streams like this, I hate that we have to do them. I really do. Because I'm not trying to be negative towards the principal. I'm not trying to pick on or make fun of how she got her education or anything else. But when you look at just pure epic stupidity of this level, you've got to call it out. And, this is amazing. Now, before we go, got a couple of other things to throw out. Again, I hadn't planned on streaming tonight. I been working very, very hard, very, very diligently on my off time, trying to get stuff set up with the new studio recording area. I'm looking to be able to do a lot more recordings and a lot more stuff. So that is definitely coming down the pike. And I will say this, if you want to help out our channel, please check out our big affiliate we have right now. Our number one affiliate is Blackout Coffee. Not only does Blackout Coffee help support us here at the Gun Club, but Blackout supports the 2A in a big way. They've got no compromise from the GOA. They've got, FPC's special blend. They've also got Brutal Awakening, Morning Reaper, and several others. And as Mel can definitely vouch for in the chat, they have numerous wonderful flavored coffees: French vanilla, coconut caramel, hazelnut cream, caramel cream, toasted coconut. Again, here's a lot of their custom blends. They've now got a special unyielding blend that supports Turning Point USA, that supports Charlie Kirk's organization. Any of these, you can use promo code Sully and get 20% off your first order. So 20% off your first order. And again, they've got holiday blends coming in, all kinds of cool stuff in. They support us. They throw us a little bit of money for every time we have someone use our promo code. Beyond that, hey, if you want to find out or do more to support the channel, we always, share it out. Give us a thumbs up. Follow our channel. Again, helps keep it going, helps get the information out there. We always take Rumble rants if we get them, and we appreciate that. If you want to find out more about any of our stuff, we've got all these links here: X, Facebook, Locals, Rumble. We're even now on Truth Social as well. We don't do a whole lot on Truth Social, but I check it periodically when I get a notification. We're here. We're trying to share the good information on the two-way, not only to get information out, but to try to get, the best we can for information and let people know that, two-way matters. Protecting ourselves matters. Taking care of ourselves and those around us matters. Being able to matters. So, we definitely appreciate your support. Y'all have a wonderful evening. I'm going to close it out here. I think I'm going to close it out with one of my favorite songs because, this one's going to go out in honor of Miss Abby, who, after being shot and wounded, took care of her first graders better than Dr. DEI, Ebony Parker, did. Peace, folks.
Up and down, counting out, smiling through the taste of blood in my own mouth. I got bruises and broken bones, but they don't know I ain't in this ring alone. I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. I was born to be a do-or-dyer, a make-it-righter. Don't throw that towel just yet. Don't cash in that last bet, 'cause I hit harder when I'm tired. I'm a fighter. I get back up, that's what I do. I didn't soldier on this far just to lose. So take your shot, is that all you got? I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. I was born to be a do-or-dyer, a make-it-righter. Don't throw that towel just yet. Don't cash in that last bet, 'cause I hit harder when I'm tired. Yeah, I'm a fighter. Oh, no one can keep me down. They didn't know, but they know now. That I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. Don't cash in that last bet,